Hey, what's up, guys? This is Mansplaining Mike. This is the Mansplaining Mike Show, and today we're going to take a look at history and see whether or not our support for Israel is paying off for us here in the United States. And in order to do that, we're going to take a look at some of the past events that Israel has been involved in, where some people would call it terrorist attacks against the U.S. One of those would be the attack on the USS Liberty, and that's the first one we're going to get into. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, but that was like 60 years ago. Why do we care about what happened 60 years ago? Well, the Holocaust was 80 years ago, so I think you should ask them that same question. Why should we care about the Holocaust if we shouldn't care about the USS Liberty? So let's get into the USS Liberty Survivors and see what they have to say.
They shouldn't be called an ally. They don't deserve it.
4 days into the 1967 Six-Day War, these men witnessed and survived one of the most deadliest attacks on an American vessel by a close U.S. ally, Israel.
The torpedo entered the ship right about here.
42 years ago, Israeli jet fighter planes and torpedo boats bombarded an American intelligence Navy ship, the USS Liberty, with a series of attacks. The assault lasted 2 hours. According to survivors, killed 34 crewmen, injured over 170 others, and nearly sunk the ship.
The whole story of it being an accident is just not true.
Although for decades the Israelis insist the incident was a case of friendly fire, the victims of the attack confirmed the Israelis were fully aware they were attacking an American ship.
Israel claims that they were not flying a flag and that was a mistaken identity, but I know for myself that we were flying a flag.
A lot of it we believe was covered up, that it was an intentional act by Israel to sink the ship with all hands, no survivors.
Why would you think they would have bombed the ship?
Their next plan was to attack the Golan Heights. So the troops they had on the Sinai now had to be moved to take the Golan Heights. The fact that the Israelis were massacring Egyptian troops, Egyptian prisoners of war. They had so many of them, and once again, they wanted to move all the troops they could to the Syrian border, and they couldn't handle the Egyptian prisoners of war, so they massacred them. So it's perceived that they thought that we were intercepting the fact that that happened.
This is a provocative act of war, would you not agree?
Oh yes, definitely.
What happened? How did the U.S. react when this happened?
USS Saratoga, which was I can't tell you how many miles away, but it was several miles away, launched aircraft to come to our aid once we got the Mayday signal out. And those jets were recalled by McNamara, I believe. They relaunched, and the second wave was called back by President Johnson himself. That he did not want, for whatever reason, did not want the U.S. involved in this on our side.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think Israel has too much money and they can have too many controlling interests in our government.
I know there was a conspiracy between our government and Israel at the time, so that's the reason why they didn't pursue it, and why the investigations and the interrogations were done and covered up because of the alliance between Israel and the United States, which I think is wrong. I don't care who they are. You just don't slap a hand for killing 34 guys and wounding over 172 people on board a ship for no apparent reason. As far as I'm concerned, it's just outright murder.
And so 42 years after the Israelis bombed an American warship, the survivors of the USS Liberty are still demanding justice. They say they will continue to raise awareness about a provocative act of war that the United States not only refused to respond to, but also help cover up. Jahan Hafiz, Press TV, Washington.
Supporting those men, that's what's America first. And they don't support Israel. They say we shouldn't have anything to do with them, but they were attacked by Israel. So for people like Adam Sosnick on the PBD podcast to be telling people they're un-American if they don't support Israel, you're saying that about American soldiers who went and fought and put their lives on the line for this country, and they had to sit there and watch their brothers in arms die because they were attacked by some terrorists in Israel. That's what's not America first, Adam. It's not America first for people like you to tell us it's not America first for us not to support Israel, who's blowing up our ships, slaughtering people, stealing nuclear secrets. Look at this. Jonathan J. Pollard, who spent 30 years in U.S. prison for spying, arrives in Israel. He went back to Israel so that he could live his life amongst the Israelis who he was spying for. And he stole a lot of stuff from us. Nuclear secrets, war secrets, all types of stuff. But these are supposed to be our allies. We're supposed to say, oh, it's fine. Go ahead and kill our military. Oh, that's fine with us. Go ahead and steal nuclear secrets. We're okay with that. That's not America first, to forget about stuff like that. It's America first to stand up for Americans and fight for America like those men were doing on that USS Liberty. Also, let's talk about what happened on 9/11, because one of those stories I brought up, yeah, it was like 60 years old. The other one was about 50 years old. But 9/11 was only 20 years ago. Are we supposed to forget about that too? Are we supposed to forget about all the Americans that died on 9/11 when there was Mossad agents who got arrested for dancing and celebrating that it happened on the streets in New York?
This woman was watching the Twin Towers burning from her apartment in New Jersey. She noticed 3 men on top of a van, posing for pictures with the towers burning in the background.
And I could see that they were like happy. You know, they didn't look shocked to me. You know, they didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
The witness called police, who stopped the van hours later and arrested 5 men. All 5, it turns out, were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI. Sources tell ABC News during a check of national security databases, some of the men were listed as having had connections with Israeli intelligence. At the FBI, that set off alarm bells. The FBI needed the answers to 3 important questions. Who were these men? What brought them to that parking lot on the morning of September 11th? And did they have any advance knowledge of what was going to happen that day? The men said they were just taking pictures at the time. They said they worked for a company called Urban Moving. The FBI obtained a search warrant for the company's offices.
2 SUVs were filled up with between 9 and 12 boxes and computers.
Not long after the arrests, the offices of Urban Moving were simply abandoned. Almost everything was left behind. In jail, the 5 Israelis were repeatedly interrogated and given lie detector tests. Stephen Gordon was their American lawyer.
They were asked questions if they had ever been approached by or hired by any non-United States intelligence community.
While there is still some debate among American intelligence officials, many investigators believe some.
You know what's America first? Taking care of our border, taking care of our citizens, not sending all our tax dollars to all these foreign countries for wars that they're starting. I don't feel like we should send our money to Israel so that they can go to war with Iran, or so that they can drag us into a war with Iran. That's not America first, for American soldiers to die to protect another country. That's crazy. They're not even real allies. Allies don't treat their friends like that. If a friend treated me like that, we would no longer be friends. Anyway, guys, this was the Mansplaining Mike Show. I'm Mansplaining Mike. I hope to catch you on the next one. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.